Episode 8 of the podcast.
That's beautiful.
What a great way to start this
It
podcast.
really is. After all the
Racial comments that you leave, all the time.
speak for yourself, man.
Whatever, man. You're the one calling me Cuban over here.
Actually, that wasn't me. That was our guest. Great
Whoa.
transition.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
And first of all, because you call that a pelican, and it's not a pelican.
Dude, it looks
See,
like a
I'm
pelican
a
to me.
culturally aware one. I knew this was a flamingo. And
Yes.
I'm not Cuban.
Whatever,
Nor
dude.
are
It
you.
looks like it has 2 feet,
Yes.
so. Flamingos,
Don't
everybody
have
knows,
1 feet.
They only have,
They don't have 1 feet.
And it's 1 foot.
I know. Well, you confused me, okay?
I don't
monkey
see any
brain.
feet. I just see leg.
Okay.
Have you seen those flamingos that live like in the is it the I forget where it is. I saw it on Planet Earth, I think too. And the water that they stay in freezes overnight, and they stay in it and like basically freeze. And then by the next day, it becomes the hottest place on Earth.
Oh, yeah.
And then they're
and
fine.
then unfreezes, and then they like walk
They
through the water.
dance.
It's
Did you ever watch any
amazing.
of that stuff? We should probably introduce you.
Blue Planet.
We're really good at this.
Yeah. So,
If you didn't,
Goodness.
why don't you say her name, Nick?
but I don't want to. It's your guess. Like you were just
Similar.
giving me shit before. So.
Layla Love. Lady Love.
Okay, whatever it takes for you and everybody else in the world to call me Lellee. Lellee Love.
Lellee. Did I
Even
do it?
if, yeah,
Lellee.
well done.
Well, you weren't saying it earlier, so.
Can I get a couple tries, dude?
You had 7.
You didn't have a kid on your first try, I bet.
You're right.
wow.
Thank
And
God.
you're Hispanic, so that's really bad odds for you, okay? So
Maybe my
back off.
swimmers weren't ready, okay? Maybe my swimmers weren't ready.
Yeah, well. Anyways.
Happens to the best of
And
us.
with that,
Sorry, this is kind of what we do. Welcome. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Thank you
this
very
podcast.
much.
I don't know what
Very
to do
much.
with my mouth.
Cheers.
Whoa. There we go.
What are you sipping on
Cheers
over
to
there?
sober bubbly.
Ah, it's the worst. We're almost through it. I've been having these dreams. I'm an alcoholic and a pothead and a drug user. Moderately.
A
You know, I
pink-
still got my life together a little bit. But lately.
Yeah, look at this fancy place.
Yeah, look. It's
You
look at-
and
look
you
at
take
it
care
and
of
say
it as
anything.
well.
Look-
That's what I'm like.
Look at the outside. That's all that matters. Just get distracted by the outside. But I've been having these
Definitely
dreams.
looking outside in.
Yes, exactly.
You've been having
It's a
dreams.
shallow glass. Like the other night, I woke up and I had this dream. I was like at a water park and I got wasted. It was a great.
Do you
but
like water parks?
No, not at all. And I'm way too old to go to a water park. I'm 31 years old.
Yeah.
If I go to a water park now, I'm a fucking creep.
Yeah, if you go to a water park,
Well, you got your pass.
Super
You
Well,
got-
yeah, I
sketchy.
got
And
a-
Can you not
I got
do
a
that
kid.
this episode, please?
dude, this bubbly makes me do
And
it.
I was
can't.
leaning into it.
You really, you're like.
How did it
I
smell?
almost tasted it. What
that
did you have
smell
for
like
lunch?
I had a
Gwyneth
blood
Is that
orange.
Gwyneth
Do you have
Paltrow's
baby
vagina?
formula for lunch?
I did.
You just had some titties for lunch.
A little bit of that.
Got
and
some of
then,
them titties for lunch. I got them
The
titties.
best perks of having a kiddo.
Yeah.
The best
Oh,
perks of waking up with a tit in your mouth.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
And you were a lead singer in a band, huh?
It's amazing.
Yep.
But let's not draw the connection there. What were we talking? Water parks. And it'd be creepy if I went to water parks. So, I don't really like water parks. But I woke up and I felt
You got
so...
wasted at a water park.
Yeah.
I've actually gotten wasted at a water park.
I have too, because it's easy in Arizona. 'Cause
When
I first
I
moved
was, a good age to go to a water park, not as an adult.
here. Well, you shouldn't have been drinking probably then, no?
No.
I've never been a fan of a water park.
They're gross.
They're fucking disgusting.
It's like, it smells like bleach. You're going to find at least 1 or 2 Band-Aids.
Couple
Maxi
tampons
pads.
floating.
What's the worst thing to like...
tampons.
I hate when you get like loose hair in the water that like goes around your whole... That grosses me out so bad.
So back to the dream. The cool part about it was that
There's no cool part about it. We're just
oh,
talking.
that was good.
But tell me.
That was-
I want to hear it.
What was the cool
What's the
part?
cool
the
part?
end of it. I don't know. Water parks really gross me out. Like there's
are.
like
They're
MRSA
nasty.
and
Yeah.
diapers.
Yeah. Kids peeing everywhere. Then I pee because I'm not gonna not pee.
But you got to add, you got to contribute to.
Gotta add my own flavor.
Right.
Yeah.
People stew.
People stew. That's
Ugh.
basically what
I'm not a fan of jacuzzis for the same reason,
I-
which sucks because like
yeah.
I like to party, but
I like a jacuzzi.
Not in a jacuzzi, huh?
not. I mean, not unless I've partied hardy beforehand.
Yeah.
and
There's a time and a place, I guess.
forgotten
And
all my.
there's always like grosser jacuzzis, and there's some that are like, that seems like a little, you know what I mean? There's like some that are like out, and it's like, that hasn't been cleaned for a long time, right? I saw that. She gave you this glare
That's
after
okay.
that.
I'm learning very
really
quickly.
appreciated it.
No, I mean, I can absolutely put you to shame if you want.
Oh,
If you
I
want to
mean,
go down that
I'm
road,
not
if
even
you want,
trying.
I can. Yeah, well, I can on command, and I can
Wow,
try.
okay.
Can you really?
Give us one. Give us
Oh
one.
no.
Oh,
Oh, no.
oh, you're playing coy over here.
We'll get there.
Okay.
We'll get there.
All right.
So yeah, I got drunk in a water park, and I felt really guilty. When I woke up, because it was like the 13th or the 14th, and I was like, I couldn't make it a month, and it was when I first got sick this last week. So I think it was a little bit of like, I felt like shit already, and it connects to this thing where it's so frustrating when you're completely sober and you're trying to make good choices, and you still are tired and sick, and I'm just like, what's the
dumb. Point?
It sucks even worse the first 3 weeks. But are you actually taking like the NyQuil with the 10% alcohol? So
No, I go elderberry. That's what I do. I try to stay away from a lot of those
Syrups, scissorps.
because they don't actually.
elderberry and echinacea.
They're not even proven
I'm
to
all
do
about
anything. So like NyQuil and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, it just treats the symptoms.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't make it go quicker. There's like no scientific proof it does. So it's like, I feel like it coddles your immune system in a weird way. So I just want to I try to make myself stronger to fight them off, but fuck me, it's not working.
And that's a dog, not a rug. Okay, so don't step on him again.
You know
And don't
what?
look at him and make another one of your coats, okay?
Yeah,
You know
I love
what?
that guy very
What are you
much.
wearing?
I was admiring what a beautiful coat you have
Yeah.
down there.
He's
that-
trembling right now because he sees what
Why are
you
you
have
throwing
on.
your coats on the floor?
What kind of dog was that?
Yeah.
This dog is awesome though.
He's a good
You guys
dude. I
remember
love him.
Benji?
The
Benji the
movie?
dog? Yeah, the dog.
Yeah, I never watched it, but I know
Like a
of
little
it.
white Benji.
Whoa, there's a movie you've never watched?
Mhm.
What are you, Pedro now or what?
Really funny stuff.
Trying
Pedro.
to, man. Trying to.
I like
I'm
her
swinging.
wings.
Was
I'm
that
swinging
the
away.
best dog kid movie, you think? Benji? Was that the one? I liked
No.
Homeward Bound.
I liked Homeward Bound.
That was a good one.
What
'Cause
was
I was
that?
always Sassy the cat.
Oh, nice.
Obviously.
Yeah, it was a good little threesome of animals trying to find their way back home.
I would say trio, but yeah.
Yeah, dude. What is this? A
What is this?
bestiality movie?
What are
Now
they?
what-
Animals?
This is like, this is definitely a boys club podcast.
No, it's not. No.
I can
No.
hang.
Our
No,
listeners are
just-
actually mostly female.
Surprisingly.
What's up, ladies?
How are you doing?
Single
This
ready to
best
mingle.
zips.
Huh?
Check
Yeah,
out
so
my
you
cardigan
like
again
this
and
bear
again.
fur?
Yeah, was that a grizzly you said?
Yeah, definitely was.
Mhm.
Sorry, I did that.
Yeah, well, it's okay. Just don't do it again, and then we'll be fine.
Can we do that?
So you know Pedro. That's where this
See.
7th grade. Did you say?
Well, he forgot me, but I never forgot you.
I always forget
Wow.
people. Dude, my memory's so foggy.
Wait, what's that story? Was that a joke or is
No,
this
no, no,
true?
no. This is all 100% real. I did punch you in the face really hard one time, and maybe that's why your memory
Really?
blacked out for 2 years. But
I
no,
think
we
he still
met.
has CTE.
Wait,
He has
I
that.
think I do because I don't remember getting punched.
Why is this the second time that this has arrived in my life today? Literally, I accidentally
He has that Aaron
I
Hernandez.
pushed my cat off of me, and she hit her head on the table.
Damn.
And, yeah, and it wasn't. Well, she's
It was not the first time she did. She did that to Fred 1 and Fred 2.
Hey, listen here, okay.
Third time's the charm,
Before
Fred.
don't you talk about my fur babies? First of all, those are my babies. No. It's just, okay. So then, literally, Josh is my boyfriend. He's like, "Oh my God, you're gonna give our cat CT." Okay. Anyway,
So how'd you
no,
give Pedro CT? I guess is the first.
we
question.
met. No, we met in 7th grade.
Did we
were
really?
in both math class and I think social studies class. We were in Nelson and
Oh,
Jill-
the Nazi lady.
yes.
Oh, what a
What is it?
cunt.
Stein?
I
You
don't-
just
I
can't.
don't remember.
I don't forget.
Don't be
She-
like that.
Okay, no, she was just. It's math. You know, it's like fucking sucks anyway. So
You don't say anything when he burps.
I
Jesus.
just ignore him. I was listening to you. You're my friend. No.
I like you. I'm gonna punch you again.
Yeah.
No,
we,
but
okay,
and
we
then,
had those
and then
two
did
classes.
you have Perry, Joyce Perry for social studies or no? Okay, no. I just
How do you remember that?
well, I didn't start doing drugs yet. You know, it's like
Neither
okay.
did I.
I didn't either. I didn't do it until after high school.
But I did come out here back then because I had put a girl in a coma for 8 days. And that's why, like, hold on. That's why, like, you stand out in my memory because, like,
Were you
I
trying to
came
put
from
me in a coma?
Texas. No. I came from Texas, so I was like a country
You
bumpkin.
beat
And my
people.
town, no. And then, like, when I came out here, it was like a total culture shock, right? Because my town just got a street light, I think, like in 2010, finally.
Wow.
And
Where in Texas was this?
a tiny town called Boyd. It's like
Hmm.
in the Dallas-Fort Worth
Yeah.
kind of area.
They almost put it as like void
I lived in
because
Yeah.
Do you know where Flower
nothing
Mound
lives
is?
out there.
I've heard of it.
I
Yeah.
lived there for like a year and a half.
Well, welcome away
Good
from
times.
there.
I know.
But yeah, so when I came out here, though, like, it was like everybody was a total tool, and I was like in
Gotta kick
culture
some
shock.
ass.
And you were nice. You were
So
a
you
nice
punched him?
boy. So I punched you in the face, and I told you to
Wise up, boy!
kick rocks with shoes
It's a
off.
tough world out there.
And then 2 years later, in high school, no.
And then 2 years later, I grew my hair out.
No, wait,
Man,
can-
I-
hold
Wait,
on.
so when did you punch him? 7th grade?
I don't know. I was in
And
a
how'd
fit
you
of
put-
rage
and how'd you
that
put a girl
entire
into a
2
coma?
years.
I need to. I missed
right.
so many good stories.
See,
Hold up. Why don't we trace back childhood?
right. So
who'd you give a coma
I
in
was
childhood? Who was your
born
first
at a
coma?
very young age. Let's see. No, okay. So I came to Arizona because I went to juvie for putting that girl in a coma. The reason why I put that girl in a coma was an accident, but my father had brought in a woman friend, whatever, psycho, to live with him, and her daughter happened to be my arch enemy in school, of course.
Oh,
And she
damn.
was like 50 pounds heavier than me, 1 grade older, you know, and she came to live there along with her brother and sister and her mom. And because
God, the
my
whole
dad
troop-
and
the
her
whole
mom,
family moved in,
yeah,
huh?
it was fucking whack, dude. And they were all twacked out
That's
on
Boyd,
meth.
Texas. You don't know anything about it.
Right, and they're like running meth through this house or whatever. So
Oh, really?
we're generally unsupervised, to say the least. And when I had gotten out of the shower, I was brushing my hair. My friend Katie was on the bed, and she threw a glass ashtray at me because she thought I was using her.
Wait, Katie threw a glass ashtray?
No, this girl
Oh,
Jennifer
yeah.
who
Coma
had
girl.
moved in.
Nemesis.
Yeah.
Coma girl.
And she threw this huge glass ashtray. She thought that I was using her John Frieda Brilliant Blonde or whatever the fuck shampoo, and I hadn't been. But regardless, she came barreling at me after she missed. And
Quick correction. It's irregardless.
Don't you
But continue.
dare.
Yeah.
How old were you
Say
during all
that.
this?
So I was 12.
That's such a hard, I feel like any of your teenage years, like living and then having some of your same age, especially if you don't get along with moving in your life. Because, like, think about with your siblings, you already get into these crazy, like, just shampoo and you want to, like, kill each other. But then somebody you're not even blood related to, it's such, like, you're just putting these, yeah, it's like a cockfight. Just putting 2 of these, like, little guys in there to fight, basically. Like, it's
real.
going to happen.
And we're out there in the
Especially unsupervised, yeah.
in the
Yeah.
hills and the boonies. We're just like a bunch of roughnecks. So
Right.
And my dad, he was a race car driver, not NASCAR, but like he was racing twice a week, and he owned an auto shop and ran meth and was in biker clubs and stuff. So I was really like a tomboy at the very least, you could say.
Yeah.
So when she came at me, she didn't expect like a spider monkey to jump at her, but
So you
I
jumped
blacked
on
out.
her?
well, I blacked out. I don't even remember.
I've heard that. That's
In
so
the fit of
interesting.
rage, how
What-
you just blacked.
Yeah, and thankfully, so when she got 3 plates in her head, and
That's crazy.
Holy shit.
I was like packing my shit up because I was gonna run away. I wanted to come out here to Arizona anyway. I'd been threatening my dad and whatever.
What
so
made
I was
you?
ba-
What was
I
it?
was
What
back
about Arizona?
away
on,
from
hold
all the meth.
No, but
Was
My
there something-
grandmother.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And so when I, got my shit together, Katie had already left, and I went to take off, and no, Katie was actually still there. I got jumped by her mom and family and whatever, and they took her to the hospital in the ambulance, and like I took off after being jumped, and when the police took me in to juvie, it was like initially they were trying me for a 2nd degree
That's crazy.
attempted.
Wow.
And thankfully, thank God Katie was there because she was
witnessed
finally
it.
able to witness, and testify. And so I had been in for 6 months, and then they let me. She came out of the coma 8 days later, and they
That
said,
is
you know, you're okay. We're gonna let you go, but you have to be with a legal guardian outside of the state of Arizona because 2 weeks into that, my dad went to prison. So, and he was in there for like 2.5 years. So
For the
I
meth-
came out.
for
Yeah,
the meth thing.
yeah. And so like it was coming out here from that world to, you know, I was actually supposed to go to Pinnacle, but my grandma like literally moved houses so that I wouldn't have to go to the rich kids school because she knew that I would beat somebody up. Like, so
Somebody
we went
else
to
is going to go to the
North.
coma.
Yeah, and so she brought me to the North Canyon, and yeah.
So what's like
that's-
I always hear that like blacking out in a fit of rage. Like literally, you get so upset, like you don't. It's just you don't recollect
happened to
anything,
me
and just
Well, I've actually turns out later on I was diagnosed with dissociative disorder where like when I go through because I have PTSD, when I go through some kind of trauma like that, I pull myself, if you will, out of my body and I see it from up top, but then I've had seizures from that. So it's like a ripple effect. And for me, it's the dissociative part that puts me into this like blackout phase
So
or
That's
whatever.
wild.
During the assault, your blackout, were you able to see that? Did you see how it went down, or
I don't
was this
remember even if
or did you get like diagnosed with that afterwards?
I got diagnosed with it afterwards. I mean, I did have PTSD diagnosis during that point in time because the whole reason why I was with my dad at the time was because I had been homeless for 3 years before he had found me. My mother and my father did not have a good relationship. They were married for a while, but drugs and alcohol and then rival biker gangs gotten between
damn.
the two of them. And so they had separated. And in that time, my mother took me and sort of used me as collateral, if you will, or trafficking is like kind of an aggressive term or an intense term. So I don't like to really use it, but I was with them on the back of a Harley everywhere west of the Mississippi from like age 4 to age 6.5, 7.
Oh, wow.
And so I didn't go to preschool, kindergarten, or first grade. And my dad had gotten custody of me in Texas. And because my mother had never shown up, I think at that time we were in New Mexico. But so when he found me, he went on his own like trek to find me.
Okay.
And just so happened through sleuthing around and whatever, did so and hauled me back to Texas. And that was actually the last time I saw my mom was when I was 6.5.
Wow.
And so when
Like
I
to
was
the
living
day?
with him, yeah.
Oh wow.
And so when I was living with him, it was good. Initially, he had been off of, backtrack for a minute. They had flown off of an 80-foot cliff in Amarillo, Texas, trying to rekindle. And it was because she had driven them off of it. And he lost his foot and his elbow and his jaw. And she, you know, lost her whole face and all of her teeth and everything. And it was just a mess. But that was when she had taken me. And so he had recovered. Then he found me. And we're back in Texas. And he was good for a while off of meth and everything. But then when he started getting involved with this dumb chick's mother, that's when he got back on like meth and trafficking it with his, you know, motorcycle club and whatever. So he had already had a prison record. He was already in prison and he already had a record, etc. And that's why they were like, you can't be you know, in the state
Legal
of
guardian.
Texas with a legal guardian here. You need to
Gotcha.
be in Arizona
Huh.
because of their affiliations and stuff. So I
You
came
start
out
telling
here.
like one story, and then like within that story, like off
So
an
rad.
80-foot cliff, trying to
Ogres are
rekindle
like
a
onions,
relationship.
dude.
Dude, that is
crazy.
insane.
I would have wanted to punch him
I've
the
flown
first
off
second I
of
met
cliffs
him, too.
myself, so I'm
Jeez.
flipped on the top of the 51 off ramp bridge. I mean, it was
Damn.
crazy. I mean,
Here?
yeah. Yeah.
What happened? We can't just gloss
Oh my
over that
God.
story.
Hold on. We just left mom in Texas, so then you came.
Yeah. So
Your dad got you all that, and now dad back in prison,
Yep.
and then you came out here.
and then I came out here to live with my grandmother, his mom.
His mom.
And
How was that relationship?
I mean, it's tough because I'm a pain in the ass, you know, and I'm type A, and I was a roughneck, and I was also pretty much raised alone. I raised myself for the most part, you know, being homeless and whatever. So my grandmother, thankfully, like she was a head ER nurse her entire life. So, and from Brooklyn, she, you know, was the single mom all the time. You know, she was a tough lady, but she
She's a
definitely
bee's knees.
understood that like I required more space than most people. That I required, like, for example, I would say shit instead of poop, or like ass instead of butt. And I remember it being an argument between her and my aunt. And she was like, look, like she's smart. She knows what she's talking about. She's not using it to be vulgar.
Right.
That's how she was raised. You need to understand that. And we'll polish this diamond, but we got to choose our battles first, you know? And so she always gave me a lot of freedom, which was a great thing because I required it in order to trust her and have a good relationship. But at the same time, I think it had a lot to do with why I chose
Flipped
some
off
of
a
the
little
fucking
51?
paths that I did. Yeah.
Jesus
God bless. So yeah, I've had my fair share of accidents as well. Oh my God.
Okay, so you get out here. Your relationship's good.
Yeah.
This was what?
7th grade. And then I lived with her until I, you know, graduated Paradise Valley Community College. So that was until like what? 2012 or 2011, 2012.
Okay, what'd you graduate with?
An AA,
Nice.
Associates of Arts. And like that was cool because she like I've been working since I was 9 years old. She was definitely a depression baby, so she instilled work ethic into me, and I'd never been without a job, so I was always keeping busy, which was a good thing because I wasn't getting in trouble at that point in time. And so when I went to go to PVCC, I started working at the college, and I got all these scholarships, and I was president of all these clubs, and I founded my own 501c3, and I did all the
Was that a-
AmeriCorps and all of that.
It's a nonprofit, or
Yeah, and it was for at-risk youth, focusing on social awareness issues through the creative arts, whatever their medium is.
Mhm.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, like I did a lot of cool stuff, you know. And then I went off to NAU in Flagstaff, and
Flagstaff just seems to get people, huh?
That's
That
right,
was the- that was the
Flagstaff
switch.
just seems to get people.
Really? Is that known here?
I don't know.
Oh,
I mean, well,
I
actually, I
would have
gotta.
guessed it would be ASU over. I don't know.
Well, I actually have to be honest. I did get into little tiffs before I got out there to Flagstaff.
What were those tips? When did the trouble seep in?
2009, I got arrested the first time. I guess you could say I got away with a DUI. But it was crazy because
2009 was also like they weren't as strict with DUIs.
right, and I had a seizure too. It was like my first car accident.
Not
of my
condoning
own.
drinking and driving or anything, but they weren't as like strict with.
Right.
Right. And it was my birthday, and I was like, you know, I had only had one shot, but regardless, like I had a
Again.
seizure.
Irregardless.
You know what? I'm
know,
just
it's
I'm the
hard to
guest
do this
here.
with
I'm
him.
the guest
I
here.
know.
I'm going to be polite and let you be incorrect.
We'll deal with
then,
him after. Don't worry.
I'll take care of this. This will be handled.
Another coma for Pedro.
Yeah, he messed with the bear, young man.
Damn.
You get the paw.
That fur. That fur is really
No
starting.
pounds for you.
That fur is starting to
Yeah,
spike up
zero.
a little bit. Yeah, I'm 0 pounds. You
I
guys
did
got
always want that,
2.
like that bear, like the thing that guy from Workaholics always wears.
Yeah.
That would be so dope. To
Then I
have,
would know what to
actually.
do with my hands.
I
This
know.
all the time.
But anyways,
I've
we
never seen that.
digress. Is that the right word, Pedro?
Digress. Degrassi, the next generation.
Oh God.
God, what
The
a
name
great
of-
show.
I could
huh?
never
That
take.
was a great
I could never
Was.
take.
So was Daria.
Kids soap. Oh my God, up top. All right.
Yeah,
that will work
I got a paw, dog.
You got a paw dog.
But I dated this girl that loved Degrassi, so we always watched it. And I still can't take Drake seriously. 'Cause
Jimmy?
That's all I'll ever know him as.
Me
Like,
too.
I seriously
and
can't.
his
like,
unibrow.
I know.
Jimmy's unibrow.
Oh yeah.
I was like, how is this guy?
She's
He's
a
a
caterpillar,
rapper now. I was
man.
like, he got. I mean, I guess he got stabbed and stuff, or was he shot? I can't remember.
He got shot.
He got shot. Yeah, it was TJ that got.
Take it
You
stabbed.
know how mad you have to be in Canada, mad enough to
That's
shoot
so-
somebody?
that's so
Shoot
true.
a cripple.
How do you like this
he
free
was, no,
healthcare?
he became cripple.
Oh,
He
that's how he
yeah.
became cripple. Oh, okay. Shows how much
Whatever.
I saw this show.
He's,
Huh?
he's
Well, you haven't seen
a
anything.
Canadian thug.
Yeah.
Starring Canadian thugs, Canucks.
All right. So after the DUI,
Yeah, so that I turned myself in the next day, and I used my stunning good looks and my
Wait, you
youth.
turned yourself in?
Yeah,
Would you run away from the scene of the crime?
yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
complicated.
something like that. Okay.
So
gotcha,
I was
yeah,
in a
yeah.
costume. I was an angel. I had a halo and
Oh,
wings.
so you went into the next day in the
I went
precinct
to the
in the
precinct.
angel.
oh, she was a little angel.
But
acting
then
like-
I had a seizure, and then my friends took me home to their home.
Gotcha.
And then they woke me up, and they were like, "You had an accident." And I was like, "Oh shit, my pants." And they're like, "No, no." And I was like, "Oh, word."
That was a strong
cool.
one shot.
Wow. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one shot. Ricky,
It
for
was-
the record, for the record, it was one
Strike
shot.
that from the record. Let the record show I was an angel, and everything
Angels
is
are lightweights.
fine.
I've always known angels.
Acting like a little
the
devil.
lightweights are low.
So I got away with it because I went and turned myself in and told him what happened,
Nice. Yeah.
and so then the next year, 2010, I wasn't quite
Noki.
21 yet.
Come here.
And this was just me being a fucking idiot. I took off from a party in the middle of the night, and that's when I climbed the wall, I guess you could say, of
That
the
median,
51
yeah.
off ramp bridge. Yeah, and it was crazy because I had a red Saturn, and you could see the red paint on the wall
Oh,
for
damn.
it was a trip, dude.
Every
but
time
I was
you like
so,
drove past it, you just see
Ye-
that red paint. Be like, oh, that was me.
and it was
What-
crazy because
I
like
How
tagged
far
that.
did you fall?
I didn't fall off of so this is two separate events. Like
oh my god.
the time that I flew off the cliff and the time that I climbed that wall. So climbing that wall, I didn't go off the ramp, but you know what I did? I had rolled down my windows and turned up my music to keep myself awake. And there was like papers that were like floating off.
Oh.
And it was like,
You just remember that scene so vividly.
here's the craziest part of that was like when I was driving, I had my hands at like 10 and 2. And I
Good.
remember distinctly seeing a second pair of hands pull off of mine and hearing specifically, "This is going to suck, but you're going to be okay.
Oh shit.
I love you and you have a purpose."
Wow.
And the whole thing was I had an alignment issue, and it's a 1-lane bridge, and there was a huge blown out tire in the road all the way across. So I knew I was going to hit it. And so when I did, I guess I kind of loosened up my hands or whatever to let it climb the wall instead of go straight into it or something. So like when that happened, it was like, yeah, I went to Tent City for 45 days. I was in the Matrix for like 27 hours with like a bikini and flip flops on.
What's
my
the
period.
Matrix?
It's 4th Avenue. It's like intake, and
Mm.
it's hell on earth. It's awful. They keep it at like 50 degrees to keep the bacteria
Good
down,
old
but they
Pio.
won't let you fucking have a maxi pad if you need one.
Gotcha.
So it was gnarly. It was terrible. And then they sent me over to Tent City. This was when Arpaio was
Yeah.
a dictator there. And that was a fucking trip.
So-
I worked in the kitchen. It was awful.
I bet.
Oh my God.
Is
was
it crazy? Like
bad.
that's 45 days. Thinking about the people that do it for years and years.
Oh my
Like
God, dude.
That's insane. So
is.
when you saw the hands lift and that voice, what did you interpret that as?
And can we
This
change
is-
inner monologues? Mine wouldn't say you have a purpose and all that nice stuff.
Well, we're getting there too.
Okay,
Oh my
cool.
gosh.
The voice
this is
came back.
when
Yeah.
this was back when I had some hope. Shit.
Yeah. So what did you interpret that as? Like, who
You know-
was there? Like somebody you associated that
So
to?
my mom
or-
had already died. My mom committed suicide
Ah.
my senior year of high school, which is why I never saw her again. Also,
shit.
I had planned to go see her when I turned 18 on October 29th. And I had already had the money for the ticket and everything, but she had overdosed, or there was foul play, or she committed suicide, whatever, we don't know. And she died November 10th, and I was going to go out there for Thanksgiving.
Oh wow.
And of course, story of my freaking life, she just offs herself. But it was a hard thing for me to deal with, and that's when I started turning to alcohol for the most part, to cope with it, and because I never quite fit in with groups of people, and it helped me to simmer down, I guess. But so when I did, start going to jail regularly, a lot of it had to do with this issue, and then
Could imagine.
being, I don't know.
Yeah, just hearing the background of where you're raised. I mean, that's what, like, just where you come from has so much to play with how you abide by the rules of society, because they're laid out for certain people in certain classes in the economic system,
And it's interesting, I guess, to me, maybe not anybody else. Don't let me get you wrong, but my grandmother had 2 kids, my dad and my aunt. And my dad was like a savant for like engineering stuff and things like that. He built 13 Volkswagen Beetles from scratch in 1 year when he was 12.
Wow.
Like he even wrote
Meth
books
is a hell of a
and stuff.
drug.
Jesus.
Fuck yeah. He started it back then. He started doing meth back then.
12 cars. Come on, Pedro. I'm trying to keep up.
And like seriously, like he would draw all kinds of cool books that we have still of like he was obsessed with bugs, which is, you and my dad have a lot in common, meth and Volkswagen bugs.
And he draws too.
Yeah,
wait a
that's true, right?
second.
But,
Am I your dad? No.
so, but he was always like
Daughter?
going to jail. He was antisocial, all this shit, giving my grandmother so much grief. And then his sister worked for the president, was valedictorian of Georgetown University.
Oh,
she
damn.
went to
Complete
study abroad.
opposites,
Yeah,
yeah.
right. And then they went off to school. My grandmother had to give up her retirement to raise me. And I was this like walking contradiction where like in school I was an IB and AP. I was doing all of
You
these
were always
great
hella
things.
smart.
Yeah. And then at the same things. And then at the
Take
same
a
time.
compliment, huh? Jesus Christ.
Well, that's the one I know I can take. And then,
Driving,
but at
not
the
so
same
much.
time, it's like, so like I was a smart girl making the dumbest decisions constantly. It was like Rhea from, and Rhea and Eunice, the fucking guards to North Canyon. I
Oh,
would be ditching all the
God.
time, and they'd be like,
I loved Rhea.
Lellee, you just keep doing you, boo boo. Meanwhile, they'd be like, Kyle, get to fucking class. I'm gonna rip you a new one.
That was me. Yeah. Every time I tried to ditch, Rhea just fucking honed in on
well,
I
my.
love the
I
different
think they
rules for different
knew-
kids.
Yeah.
Always.
Well,
And-
Hispanic, white too.
No.
So there's
yeah.
Cuban, according to you assholes.
Okay, Mr.
It's a
Pelican.
fucking pelican, dude.
Hold on, I'm trying to hear myself.
Oh, did you get unplugged there?
Oh, she's like Nirvana unplugged over here.
I'm
kicking it back.
I'm Italian.
See it? Just put it right in there.
Mm.
Easy. Jesus.
Just kind of rough with that, huh?
Yeah,
Ta-da.
Better?
I just wanted
At
to
first you
make sure
didn't-
everybody knew I was cooler than you in high school. And then
That's
I
a given, okay?
tear your
Jeez.
shit up.
I was never that cool in high school, man.
No, you know very well that I was not well liked. But I would say that.
Why do you say that?
Well, the thing was I was a weirdo, but then they started hearing rumors about my life, and I think they just stepped aside, or I would be okay with me clotheslining them. But then, like, the teachers and the principals and the security guards, they were always like, I don't know what to do with her. Like, just let her do whatever she wants. And I was, it was weird because it was like I was ahead in all my classes, but then I was expelled from, summer school, and
Oh, damn.
it was. I
were
always had
just
a
walking
consistent
that-
job, but I was always in the principal's office. Like, it was like, what is up with this little fucking punk,
Yeah.
You can say that louder.
This little fucking punk.
Yeah.
Little fucking.
Look at me doing this
Fucking
again.
punk.
I'm not good at it. I'm not good at it.
Oh, is it getting unplugged on you? Are you good?
No, I just talk with my hands. Taco? Here, hold that.
Come on, Pedro.
Dude, I'm
F-
trying
fill the
over
dead
here,
air.
huh?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Oh, wait.
Maybe
Oh,
you
is it-
maybe you hit it off on accident. Is it still red?
It's still red.
Is it off back there?
Maybe it should. Maybe that's.
It's because I talk with my hands. I shouldn't-
You're Italian. Every Italian talks with their
Very
hands.
good.
Da-la-la. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
All right. Now, simmer down now, like you said.
Okay.
All right.
Jeez.
We're
I can
back.
do this with one hand.
I like how you restrict yourself to you just like sat on your hand because you don't have the self control to not do it.
I
I
know
have
myself too well.
That's why I have like the whole freaking coffee pot of coffee over there. 'Cause
I
I
see
have
that,
zero
yeah.
control.
I have quite the caffeine. That's another thing. I drink way too much caffeine. I
Yeah.
love
I
it.
don't drink
I'm only
coffee,
half
man.
charged right now, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyways, where were we? We were at. You
Which
just
jail
went to
was I
school,
in?
Flagstaff,
Oh,
and
Flagstaff.
School.
yeah, I
We were
think-
at school.
yeah.
So like
And
people.
but then you said this is when it really pumped it
Yeah.
up a little bit. You're like, that was
Yeah.
just rookie shit.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah. So my
you were
life
in the minors before that.
So now you stepped to the big leagues. What made the switch? Just college and complete freedom, or
So yeah, I had scholarships and whatever. I knew a lot was riding on it. But I also did have a lot of freedom, and my grandmother wasn't around, and I had money to play with, and it was an area that I fit into for once in my life.
Yeah.
I never fit into Texas. I never fit into Phoenix. But Flagstaff, I could walk around with no shoes and no bra and no makeup, and I could be, as obnoxious as I want, and I could smoke my pot, and you know what I mean. It was cool. I could wear my flannels and be comfortable. But the thing is, there's like 8 police entities there, and I was right in the heart of it all. And there's 100 bars within a 9-block radius.
they
so.
knew you pretty well, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I either had a beer in the library or a book in the bar, so it was a constant thing. And I got a DUI out there, and under this time it was under a bridge instead of over a bridge. And
You should just stay away from bridges, girl.
yeah, man, trolls.
I
But
didn't
it
say
was
it, you did.
I mean, Camp Coconino wasn't so bad. I actually much prefer that over the tents.
How many jails do you think you've been to?
8,
That's crazy.
something like that.
better
never
than,
been
better than
arrested.
9.
Well, yeah, it is better. It's better than 9,
Yeah.
and I got out of 8 or 9
Right.
jails.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a positive there. The silver
And
lining.
I never went to prison. Although that's something that I have
Aspire
to
to,
be very,
or-
very fearful of, because especially here in Maricopa
Yeah.
or in Arizona alone, I mean, if you look back, they had a lawsuit back in 2018 where they had to pay $3 million to the corporate commission or whatever, the CCC, Corporate Corrections Commission, because they were at 98% capacity rather than 100%. And so they had to
they
pay
weren't meeting quota.
exactly.
Private
And these are all
prisons,
privatized.
beautiful.
But yeah,
Yep.
so the second year on record, it's like you can't even have like a tail light
Mm-mm.
out or like a light missing from your license plate. They'll fucking
They're
it's all
coming to
about
get ya.
money, you know.
It's disgusting.
It really
I know.
is.
There's no. They're not trying to fix people. They're really just trying to fill people's pockets. It's so disgusting.
Yeah.
And it's I don't think it'll ever really change either, which is the scary or sad part, which also does, like you said, like living in Maricopa and like living in Phoenix or near Scottsdale. It's like it is like you're kind of like playing around in a dangerous place, and everybody can be like, yeah, well, just don't do bad things and you won't get in trouble. It's like, no, everybody that's on the road right now is literally breaking a law.
People break like 100 laws a week.
Yeah.
Like 4 felonies a week is the average.
I do too, and I don't even leave my house.
Right?
So, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So
Ex-con here.
I mean, it's I don't know. And the craziest thing too is that like you said, I don't think it'll change, but at least Arpaio isn't in there, and I happen to be working for a company that really does a lot for the women in the penitentiary system here, and that was part of why I started working with them, because they really give a great skill set to women who are incarcerated or have been incarcerated. They make
nice.
something like 3.5 times more over their lifetime, which equates to something like $3 million more over their lifetime.
Wow,
And
that's
then
great.
the other, ex-convicts who have gotten out, they reduce recidivism down to like 4.5%, versus something like 79%.
Substantial.
Yeah. And so, working for them is something that helped me with alignment and making sure that, yes, I do have an extensive background on paper in a negative light, as you had mentioned before, but I also bring to the table a bachelor's of science, a bachelor's of arts, an associates of arts, plenty of experience in X, Y, and Z. I've been in
Right.
AmeriCorps, you know what I mean? And like, you can't just you really do have to ban the box. You can't just put somebody, you lose a lot of revenue if you look me over.
Yeah.
We're not just a resume as a problem. It's like we're all sculpted by our past and our mistakes and things that happen. And if you grow from that, you're going to be a more interesting and well-versed person than somebody that hasn't gone through shit their whole life and just ends up just being another blob, another cork in this or whatever. You're just another person. You're not learning.
They're breaking the wall, bro.
There you go.
Jesus,
I
I
mean,
finally understand the saying.
I think my biggest goal in life, that when you were asking about the purpose thing, what I thought of it was that, like, maybe I don't think of God in the same way that, like, you traditionally would, but I did realize that in that moment, at least what was important to me, even on a psychological science level, apparently was that I need to know I have a purpose. And my purpose, I do know, is to help the world one way or another.
Right.
And so now I have to understand that my type A personality really gets in the way of that, because I'm not necessarily in control of my plan. And I think that's why I did really well in school. I was in control of everything in that aspect, but I would also want to let loose and, be reckless and let go of all of that control that I had the stress
Who did
of.
it in high school too? You know what I'm saying? It's just people leaned into that too hard, or
It's hard not to. I mean, that's what drugs are. It's like the serotonin
That's true.
flood in your brain. It becomes addictive. It's like anything. You could probably do it a couple times and it'd be good and you'd learn from it, but it's hard if you have a certain personality to not just fall into it, 'cause you're just chasing the high, you're chasing that experience,
baby.
You're looking for nostalgia. Like, we still do that in different aspects, just not with drugs. You're looking to the past and then you're not growing.
That's
because
true.
you're just trying to, like,
Stuck in a rut,
regrow just what that feeling was before, when it probably wasn't even that great. You're just framing it. You're
Yeah.
framing it as this, like, wonderful time where everything was good.
You're
but
painting that picture.
yeah, you got to keep on.
And that's all painted in rose color too. A lot of the times you reminisce on what you want to and embellish where you would like, and realizing that, like, things come full circle. Everything happens for a reason. It may not be that you have this, like, actual, like, fate, but you make the most of everything that happens. And so, giving up that control idea of my life really actually gave me a lot of power by realizing, like, it might suck, but the path is the path, and it's all street cred. You know what I mean? Like, it all counts. So when you do have these issues that come up in your life, at least you're able to relate to the people you're speaking to.
For sure.
And I realized that maybe I'm not going to utilize this $50,000 freaking degree that I owe on, like I initially had expected to, but I'm still going to achieve my goal of helping the world, and things are aligning for me to do so because, for example, this company that I worked with, the timing of it was amazing too, because I just got out of jail this month. And
oh, wow, it's that recent.
Yeah, and I started this job
From that DUI?
No, this
Oh,
isn't.
oh, okay.
I'm skipping over a
Yeah,
few
that
too.
was gonna be my other question. Like, is that the one that changed it?
No.
Okay.
And actually, I'll fill in that blank too in a minute. But this was this one was the one that changed it.
Okay.
So I got a DUI last January, and thankfully I lawyered up this time, and we were able to see security cameras of me being chased by my ex, who I had broken up with the night before, and I had already had a restraining order of protection on, and everything. Gone to
Was
jail
this
multiple
back out
times.
here in Phoenix? Yeah.
Yeah, about a year ago, actually, this week. And so
You want to shout him out?
I
or
was able.
anything?
Okay. But when I got this DUI, I didn't get, like, I literally was just pulling out. I was peeling out. Let's be honest. I was running away from this guy, but I didn't get in an accident or whatever. And they had seen that happen and pulled me over, and then they found shrooms and everything else in the car or whatever. So I was actually looking at 5 to 17 years, and
Oh, wow.
I was 7 to 15 years. I'm sorry. And I was shitting myself. Like, I was
Jesus,
freaking the fuck
that's-
out.
Yeah.
And I had mentioned earlier, I was pretty reckless in my youth. I have quite a nihilistic sense of being. I like whatever. I don't care if we're here or not.
Yeah.
Whatever. And I mean that in the most positive way. But
I've been there. Yeah.
So I really, like, I had taken care of my grandmother until she passed away, which meant that when she passed, I did, have all of her medications. I never did drugs because I saw what it did to my parents. I didn't even have those shrooms. My best friend was like, "Here, you need to try microdosing because you're going through it right now." And I was like, "I don't know, I'll think about it." So it was just in my car.
Yeah, that sucks.
And it was in my
classic
car
holding
because
it for a
I-
friend.
And I was like, yeah. Well, I also respected my roommate so much. Who's super straight edge. I met in NAU, and so I didn't bring it into her house, which was really stupid of me. Should have just sold him already, but so
I'll take 'em off.
you know, when I got when I got arrested this time, I thought I was gonna kill myself because I had all these fentanyl patches and whatever.
Oh wow.
And I'd already tried multiple. I mean, I've driven off of cliffs, like I mentioned. I've been in a coma myself in 2017, which I'll talk about too briefly. But and that was all like trying to kill myself. So I was definitely thinking I was going to do that this past year by putting all these fentanyl patches on and whatever. And I'm really glad I didn't, because turns out I was able to reduce this down from multiple felonies to a misdemeanor.
Oh wow.
And do work release for a few months. And like, you know, when I was working and spending the night in jail, I had the audacity to attempt for a new job, because I could not stand the account management that I had been doing. And I had looked up companies that aligned with what I was trying to do, which was align myself and be open about who I am. You know, because I was always ashamed of, you know, I have to tell you about, you know,
right,
like,
yeah. And then people,
so-
the judgment
The
that usually happens
right.
from it. Yeah.
And then the mistrust that comes
Yep,
inherently
yep,
with it.
yep.
So I went with this company, and they hire mostly previously incarcerated or currently incarcerated at Perryville women, and they've generated over $8 billion in the past, you know, few years. And like, it's all about, there's a huge volunteering sector to it, and it's all sales, and it's just, I mean, there's a huge camaraderie there. And so it was like a perfect fit. It's right by my house. And it was sort of like getting that job was like what pivoted me, because I realized, oh wait, maybe I do have hope and I don't have to be so nihilistic. Maybe all of this is coming to fruition into an apex for a reason.
Everything's lining up.
And
like you said,
yeah, and so this last time it was like, even though it was the most serious for sure, I was looking at serious time.
Yeah,
but
that's got to be such a punch in the gut. Like,
Oh my
hearing,
God,
I can't even imagine.
dude, all last year
Yeah.
I was living in such fear and
Yeah.
agony, and I was going to food banks because I just wanted to make sure I paid my lawyer, like, and my rent, you know. And it was a crazy year, but you know. And now it's like, okay, now I really need to grow the fuck up. I'm 30 years old. I have gray hairs. You know, I've been to jail so many times. You know, it's
Break
time.
the pattern.
Yeah, and put it to work. Put it to use for me. So I'm
Yeah,
definitely
that's really smart.
hoping
You looked inwards into like what your previous experiences were. You know, going through the jail process, going through all of that, and you had like the awareness of looking and not only like seeing what you could do for yourself, but seeing what you could do for like other women or, you know, people that have gone through similar process that like you've gone through. That's
hope is everything.
Yeah, that's the problem with
Not
nihilism.
having it.
It kind of like that's a big problem of mine. So nihilism, like atheism, and falling into like almost the humor in nothingness, the
Right.
humor in the black abyss,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then the problem with that is if you live in that state, it's really hard to reach for something. So it's hard to want to grow or try to get to the next point when you're always stuck in this like everything is meaningless, everything is pointless. Where I've grown from that too, of being like, because if that's all you're feeding your mind, like you will fall into these traps, you will fall into these circles, you will keep on going with the same people, you'll keep on dating that same like abusive ex, you'll keep on getting to these same patterns every single time until you change yourself and you really work into like, oh, I need to start working on something else because there's a pattern that I've adapted. And if this is a simulation or whatever the fuck this world is, whatever you're feeding your brain,
it's a whole other hour.
That's what will start consuming you because
Yeah.
that is what you're existing in. So like paint the past in those rosy colored glasses, you know, or frame them however you want to, but you need to keep on moving forward from that as well, or else you're just going to keep on getting stuck in these traps. And when you realize that too, it's these people you meet along. I'm grateful for my mistakes and these fucking dark places I went through that I never thought I'd get through. Because the people that you're gonna meet on the way there, you can learn so much from them and really give yourself clarity and find that purpose and be like, life is fucking beautiful. Like I feel like such a piece of shit for living so much of my life and being like, life is stupid. Look at these fucking people trying and being happy. This is dumb.
Yeah, I kick myself a lot when I think about all the time that I've wasted.
But fuck it, you're here now. Like you can't even that thought is not helpful.
It was changing. The fact that I had hope changed the fact that, I am worth it, and I can be honest about it, and it's been life changing, and I hope that it works in my favor and other people's favor to be honest about it. So that's why I wanted to talk to you guys today, because it was sort of like the fact that I'm done with that section of my life, but going to use it in the future this was part of like the catharsis of it all.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm coming out with it all.
Also putting it out there, just speaking it, there's something about that, like kind of lets it go. Or like for me, it's writing. Like I just write everything down, and that's very cathartic for me. So.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I know it's been a wild ride.
No, thanks for
No, we
thanks
want
for
you back.
opening
It
up
could,
and
yeah.
want you back.
I've got a lot more to say, but I'm like, shit, I'm on house arrest now, so I gotta scram.
And that's for the next time you come
yeah.
on, okay?
Well, as long as we can keep this bright and early, and we're.
No, yeah, it was a good. Yeah, thanks for reopening the past.
Yeah, Saturdays work best for you then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'd
Yeah.
definitely love to have you back. It was
Maybe.
fun. Nice meeting you. And
Thank you. Yeah,
Pedro
I'm
was okay doing it with you
I'll
again.
have a little better direction next time.
No.
We don't have any direction. We
So
started
you're
with
doing-
blacking out at water parks and ended with keep moving,
Keep
guys.
moving.
Stay positive.
Hey, those are positive. We started in the slums and we moved forward.
Yeah.
Man. That's
Pedro
all it
burp.
is.
You didn't burp for a
As
while.
Jimmy
so I
said,
appreciate
started
that.
from the bottom. Now we're here.
Who's Jimmy?
The guy that got
Dude,
fucking
Rossi,
stabbed.
We're
Dude, give him some
coming full
respect.
circle. He's not even listening to our episode.
I know. Maybe he
Shame on
will.
you.
We'll hashtag him. He's like, I got to listen to this.
Damn Cubans.
Yeah, fucking Cuban. They don't even know what a podcast is.
Well, thanks for coming again. And
Thank you. Come again.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
way
slightly
too
racist.
formal.
That's-
There, Pedro.
I don't know. I don't know what happened. I took a left
You're
turn.
like after Pedro hooks up with
we
somebody.
act like
Thanks
we're
again.
so
Thanks again
we
for
act like we're
coming.
so
I'm really-
progressive and we move forward, but we fucking revert back to the
I
same
know.
fart and dick
It's
jokes.
the insecurity, okay?
All right.
I'm working on
well,
it still.
I love you. Thanks for listening.
Peace and love, chicken grease, and all
Amor y
that.
Amor y
Paz.
Paz and chicken
Vaya
grease.
con Dios.
There you go. This is a nice little ad.